Hi everyone, it's Ashley at Tea Garden Paper Crafts, and today I'm here with a tutorial on how to make this. This is made out of a recycled window envelope. I've had a lot of requests actually for this. So I usually sew these into a journal. I would just include it in here and then include it into a journal and sew it in right here, and then it creates two pockets. You can also, if you wanted to, just clip this into a journal instead of sewing it in to make one long pocket. But let's get into it, okay? So we're going to start with just a plain envelope with a window. I work in an office environment, so I get these all the time. I have a huge supply of them. So all we're going to do is we're just going to fold it in half. If you want to not lose the window, you would just fold it like here and have one part longer than the other, but I prefer to have it even. And I'm going to cover up that part of the window there. Okay, now I like to ink my projects. Right now I am using Distress Ink Ground Espresso because it gives a really nice dark color that I find I really enjoy. My other favorite color to use is Vintage Photo, which is a lighter brown color. Doesn't give quite as dark of a tint, but because I want something super grungy for a journal that I'm working on, I'm using the Ground Espresso, which has almost like a little bit of tint of a black to it, which is really nice. So I'm going to ink the edge because we're going to start on this side here. Now, if you wanted to, I didn't do it on my example project. I left this not inked, but if you wanted to, you could ink along the edges here. So I'll just show you that real quick, that I just kind of take my sponge and I turn it on its side and then go around the edge like that, so that when you're leaving any white space that you don't see quite as much white around the window. It gives a little bit of a completed look. So this one will look slightly different, but that's okay. Different is not bad. So there we go. There's the inking of that. Now the next thing that I did is I want to cover up the design on the inside of this window so that you see something different in here. So I've got some paper scraps here, and this is a scrap of scrapbooking paper. So I was thinking something like that might be really cool, or maybe I'll do that way. Let's see. I think I'm going to do that way and save that crow. So let's do, and are these crows or are they ravens? I think they're ravens because they actually have the pointed, their beak, the way it comes down like that. I think these are actually ravens, not crows. Fun little fact. All right, so we're going to put that in there, and then we'll just kind of eyeball it and cut it like that. Save that scrap. Make sure that we're going to fit. Perfect. So I'm not going to ink this because you're not really going to see it, because we're going to tuck it and we're going to glue it down inside of the envelope. So I'm going to get it up to, if you can see here, I'm going to kind of keep my envelope folded so that I can get it as close to the edge of that as possible and adjust around as we need to make sure that we're getting everything in there. Oh, shame. I'm going to kind of lose that crow a little bit, aren't I? That's a shame. Well, we might just have to, we'll roll with it. Make sure that we're all the way in that window there. So like that. So see how my whole window is covered now? You can't see the background. So that's where we want it to be. So now I'm going to take my envelope and put it face down like this, because we need to glue the back side here. So how I like to do that is I like to take my glue stick, or you could do this with your liquid glue too, but I like to do it with my glue stick. I find it a little less messy. And I just pull back the envelope and I just go along the edge like that. I don't glue all the way down because I find I have a hard time if I try to put the glue on the paper and then slide it back where I need it to be. I find I have a really, really hard time getting it right, and then I end up with glue everywhere and it's just a mess. So this way I get it where I want it to be. I'm okay with this little bit of the envelope backing that you can see there. I mean, it's a recycled project. It's not going to be perfect. That's fine. But if it bothers you, try to get it a little more centered than what I did. All right. So now that we've got that, you can see you can still open the pocket, no problem. And you can see that picture, but when you put something in there, you'll see that. So I love that. Next, what I want to do is I want to do some stenciling here. I'm not going to try and cover up those words, those numbers there from the envelope. I'm just going to stencil over it. So I have this stencil that I chose. I don't clean my stencils very well. I'm sorry. I know I've been told to stop apologizing, but if it bothers you that I don't clean my stencils, I don't really clean my stencils. I don't care if I get a little bit of ink. That doesn't bother me. All right, so I'm going to put my stencil on. I think I want, let's see. I think I want that part of it there. So then what I'm going to use is I like to use, whoop, knocking my glue over. I like to use paddle brushes. These are like a makeup paddle brush. I like to use these for inking stencils. I find that it gives a crisper image. So I'm just kind of dabbing it in my ink and then rubbing it onto the stencil, being aware that I try not to go over this edge because otherwise you're going to have that show. And then pull back and take a look. And I love the way that turned out. That looks really cool. I think I want to get some of these roses in here. So we're going to just do a little bit of that right there. Again, being careful that I try not to go over that edge if I can help it. Yeah, I love the way that looks. That looks really cool. Okay, now this part down here, I think I do want to cover. So let's see. I've got lots of these little crow pieces. Let's see. I think I want to take part of this here. And I'm just going to kind of eyeball it and cut just a thin piece here. Let's see. Perfect. And I'm going to ink around the outside of that. Also, this piece of paper, as you can see, is what I use for inking when I'm doing stuff so that I don't get it onto my work surface. Okay, so now that we've got that a little bit inked up, just do the old finger push technique. Get our glue on there and put that down like that. And then I think on my other one, I put some words here. So let me see. I've got some word sentiments that my friend Lisa sent me that I absolutely love. So let's take a look if there's anything that is speaking to me for this one. I like this one here. So we're going to take that and I'm going to kind of off center it here, just like that. So there's the first side of our envelope decorated. So let's flip it over and let's do this side. Once again, I'm going to ink it up. And we're going to cover this window here entirely. So we don't need to worry about trying to fit something down in there because I'm just going to cover that up. Now for this one, I think I am going to stencil the whole thing and then just cover it up partially. So let's do something like that. I don't usually cover the whole envelope unless I'm going for like a super specific theme where I wanted to have it all look really, really good and like really cohesive with this journal because I'm going for a kind of grungier look. I don't really care if you can see that it's made out of an envelope. I'm totally fine with that. But it just depends on what your project calls for. That you can cover up this whole thing and not let any white show. That's not a bad thing either. So for this one, I'm thinking I'm going to put him in this corner here. And I want to do a little tearing around like that. Ooh, maybe that would look better down there now. Nope, I think I'm going to stick with it up in that corner there. Yeah, I like that. So we'll ink the edges of that. And then for the edges of this paper here, I just put it over my thing on my paper. Sorry, this is shaking my camera a little bit. I apologize for that. And just kind of rub it along the edges so you can see you get a little bit of that color, because torn edges of paper take color really, really well. And it kind of also knocks back the white of the background, giving it a little bit more of a grungy feel. So I think I'm going to put that like that. And this is another paper scrap that I had. I think that kind of gets hidden a little bit, but I'm not mad at that. Let's see, what else do we have here? These are my paper scraps that I pulled out that I want to use for this project. So I've got some purple, I've got some black. Ooh, that might be cool. Maybe do something like that. Oops, flip that over. Yeah, that looks pretty cool. And then maybe something. I kind of think I like that. Yeah, that looks pretty cool. I think. Or do I want to do something like that? And then we'll cover that up. Decisions. I definitely like that. I think that looks really cool with him over on this side. And then maybe I just cover up that edge. Let's take a look at my other one. Ooh, sorry. Knocking everything around here. There we go. So on this one, I just covered these two corners and then put a centerpiece on. I could do something like that, but I don't really have anything here that I want as a centerpiece. I mean, I guess this would be, but it would be a really small little centerpiece, huh? So what if we like took these and framed it in? Just playing around, trying to figure out what we like, what speaks to me on this one. Do I have any more of these little black pieces? Let's see. I do. So what if we did something like that, and we'll save this for the other side. Do something like that. Ooh, that looks kind of cool. Okay, we're going to do that. I like that a lot. This is part of the process. Just play around until you find something that you like. So I'm going to just run my glue all the way along the whole back side of this, and then just cut it off after when it's on there. So let's see, we're going to put you about that far. And I'm not going to ink these guys because since they're black, my brown ink will probably not show. And there's not really, the torn edges aren't going to show either because I'm going to cut those off. So I'm going to just leave that as is. So let's see, we'll put that one there like that. Make sure we got enough glue there to tack that corner down. Okay, and then we'll put this one here, making sure that it's far enough in to cover that up. The Jacksonville, Florida. Okay, so make sure that it's all the way up to the top. We're covering that. And I'm going to peel this side up just a little bit so that I can put that underneath so that we have the kind of round robin four corners all looking the same. And I'll tack that back down with some more glue. It's the nice thing about when you do like a glue stick is that if you, until it's dry, it's going to look just fine. All right, let's see. Where's my edge of my envelope? Okay, got to bring it this way. There we go. And then we just put some more glue to tack that side down. All right, now let's trim off this excess first before we put our raven on. So, and then I'll come back and I'll ink these edges just to make sure that we don't have any of the edges that look unfinished, because that'll just help look finished, but on the inside I don't need to do that. I just want to do it on the outside here in case the envelope shows like it does right there. Okay, cut that off. And then once the glue dries on the back of these, I'll just toss these right back into my scrap bin. Okay, put our cap on our glue, because if you don't, this will dry out and you will be sad. Take it from me, I've done it before. All right. So we have something like that. I still kind of think I might want to do something like that. And then, or do maybe something like that. Ooh, I like that even more. Okay, let's do that. So let's glue our raven on. Now, if you don't trust your glue stick, use whatever glue you're comfortable using. I prefer my glue stick, but I also do use my Fabri-Tac. If you've seen my other videos, you'll know I do use Fabri-Tac, but I just, for something like this, prefer the glue stick. I find it a little easier to work with, and then if I have, after it dries, I'll go and check my corners and my edges, make sure that they're all tacked down really well. And if I find that something isn't tacked down to my liking, then I'll go back in with my Fabri-Fix and get that taken care of so that the edges are where I want them to be, not coming up on me. Yeah. Okay. I think this was part of a digital that I cut, but I can't quite remember. It's been in my scrap box for like a while, but I was like, I know I'll use it for something. And here we are. All right. Cool. I'm really happy with how that looks. We'll just add a little word sentiment just to give it a little something extra. see. I think I want that one. And we've got a lot down in this corner, so I kind of think I'm going to put it over here just to kind of balance it here. So I love the way that that looks. Okay, so this is what we have so far. We've got this side and this side, and our pockets are still good. So now let's work on the inside. Let me scoot some of this stuff out of the way here. So for this side, I have a piece of music paper that I've been tearing away at, and that's what I did for the inside of my other one, is I did music paper. So let's do that. So how I do this is the same thing as I did before, but in where I ink it first. So I just run my paddle brush along the middle there to put down a little bit of color first, and then do that along the edges as well. And this doesn't have to be perfect. I do this because I want to make sure that I should be putting this underneath. Hold on. I don't want to make a mess. This is my filming desk, not my normal craft desk. My normal craft desk does not look this neat. So I want to put this down to make sure I don't get my video desk all crummy. I should really do this when I do on my regular desk too, but I don't. My craft mat is a disaster. It's covered in bits of glue and ink and paint and, you know, normal crafter things. All right. Okay, so I have a base color down there. And then what I'm going to do is, because I want a little more intense color in the center here, I'm going to take my dauber and I'm going to really get in there with the ink so that you can see stuff like that, and just really jam it in there so you get some good color like that. I like that. That looks good. All right. Let's see. So I'm going to start on this side. And we'll use this corner up here. So I'm going to kind of mostly line it up where it belongs. And then I like to use my ruler for this. So what I do is I'm just going to put my ruler on a mostly straight and then just tear straight down. And then do the same thing on this side. Get it to where I mostly want it to be. Put my ruler in place and then tear. And then that gives us that. Then we'll ink all along that edge. Like I said, torn paper takes ink super, super well. So if you like to ink, this is definitely the time to do it. If you don't like to ink, don't worry about it. Your project is still going to look really, really cool. You could use like paint along these edges or something like that, or you could just leave it white and get a really nice crisp look. So we'll put that there. And I'm only going to run this along the outside edges and then do like an X through the middle. I can put it down and just do zoop, like that. Cap on my glue. Can't tell you how many times I've had to cut off part of my glue stick, and then I'm sad. Okay, and then I have these. I was thinking maybe something like that could be cool. And then so maybe something like that. Yeah, I like that. That works for me. And I'm only gonna tear just this one side here. And then rubbing it really, really well with the ink to get that kind of, it almost looks burnt to me, like you took, you know, like burnt paper. kind of a cool look. And then we'll just, do I want this? I think I want this torn. So I'm just going to hand tear it. And these pieces will get used for something too. Might use them in a masterboard or use them to make clusters. All right. So now that I have it inked, we'll put those like that. Ooh, and I do like that I tore that. I'm glad I tore that down because now it kind of gives you more of the music paper too. So that's cool. Put that right up there, and then this one's going to come down here. That's cool. Do we see anything here that we like? Let's go with this one. Nice long one. And we'll put that directly in the center there, kind of bridging the gap between our two. There. Yeah, that looks really cool. All right, let's do this side. So for this side, I was thinking maybe do that. Something like that, I was thinking, and make this a pocket, a second pocket. In which case I would probably go the full thing and do something like that so that you get that full pocket. Yes, I think that's what I like. I'm gonna ink a little bit more along this top here. Along this side. Oh, that's another thing I didn't do, is that you should check your little, if you're using a recycled envelope, you should check your little corners here and make sure that they're tacked down. Like I didn't do that on this side, and this side's coming up, so we need to tack that down because otherwise that's not a great look, is it? There we go. That's better. Got to come back through and wipe off my desk after I'm done. All right, so let's get this in here. Which side do we like better? I think I like just the music better. I want to take off those words at the top. So if you're trying to tear something that is small, what I like to do is I actually put my ruler over the tiny part that I want to tear. So like in this case, I wanted to take off just the words, and I'm going to slide it carefully just so that I keep the notes, and you're going to push down really, really hard and very slowly. And there we go. And I kept that top part that I like. I'm fine with that little edge. I don't care. That looks good to me. And then need to tear, or that part, honestly, because it's going to be under the pocket, I'm just going to cut that, and I'm going to cut it in at a little bit of an angle just so that we can make sure that it does not get in the way of our pocket. Cool. All right, so let's ink that up. I don't have to ink all the way down because, again, pocket. I'm going to make this into a pocket. Good. There. You can see the ink on my hands because I made my prototype pocket earlier today, and I've been crafting all day. So since I've been crafting all day, I haven't washed my hands yet, so my hands are covered in glue and ink. So when I say I am a messy crafter, this is what I mean. That's how my hands look. And this is a neat day for me. My fingers have been many colors of ink before. All right, cool. That looks good. And then we'll do this. And I do want to cut this side just because this side is cut, so I want it to look the same. Make sure that my pocket folds comfortably there. So I'm going to kind of fold this back to where I need it to be. So let's see. Oh, oops. I forgot to cut off an edge. I didn't check that, did I? There we go. I was wondering why it looked weird there. That's why. Okay, so now we can see that better. So line up our pocket here, and then kind of find where our edge is. And then I will fold that down. And then I'll come along and snip that off. And I'm actually going to go, instead of going along the line, because there's those kind of crinkles there, and I want this edge to look fairly clean, I'm going to cut it off there. So that should fit. Perfect. And then go ahead and ink up those sides. Do I like that side better, or do I like that side better? I guess we'll see how this inks up. I can always flip it over. If I don't like the way that this side inks up, I can always flip it. But we'll see how it looks. All right, and then take our thing here. I think I'm going to use the paddle brush for this one, because I think that might give me a little bit more coverage than the dauber. And then we'll just oh yeah, that looks cool. All right, excellent. So now this is a thing where for this pocket, I should probably grab my Fabrifix glue to put it down. I wasn't planning on making this a pocket. This is what happens when you're making things on the fly. All right, so here's my Fabrifix. And I'm going to put, this is my new bottle, so I'm going to use a lot less than I did in my one video. I just need to do a tiny, tiny bit. Because a lot of this goes a long way. Since this is a fresh bottle, it's not dried out. So put the cap back on that, put that aside. And then because I want to make sure that this is all the way to the edge, I'm going to come in here with my finger and I'm going to do that and then wipe that glue off. And we are going to put that down, and then that becomes a pocket. So let's put something on this one here just to kind of give it a little bit of interest. Thinking I want creativity takes courage. So we'll put that on the bottom here, ink that up. Glue that on, and we will be just about done. There's one more thing that I like to do, and I will show you that in a moment here. All right, so let's get this glued down. Like I said, once this dries, once everything is dry, I will go through and kind of pick at the corners, so you can see like this corner here is not staying down as well as I would like. Now I could come in with my glue stick and put more glue stick on it and see if that works, but I will actually go through with my Fabrifix after it's dry to check that. That is not very straight. Let's straighten that out a little bit. There we go. That looks better. All right, so we're just about done. The last thing that I like to do is I like to take my paddle brush, and then I like to lift the pocket open like this and just come inside and do a little bit of that. Now, if your pocket tears like mine just did a little bit, that's super easy to fix. We'll just come in with our Fabrifix glue. So I guess this one doesn't want to be inked on the inside. Usually I like to ink a little bit of the inside, but this one does not want to do that. This envelope is a little bit fussier, so that's all right. So I'm just going to come in. Let me see. Come on, get into focus. I'm going to put a little bit of glue there. Make sure that get that off. And then I'll just seal that up. So we'll lose a tiny little bit of that pocket, but not a bunch, and that's okay. All right, let me clear off the desk so we can take a final look at what we made here. So here is our pocket. This is the first side, so if you sewed this into a journal, this would be the first side that you would see. You would have something tucked in here, and then you open it up. This would be in your journal. This would be what you would see next. And then you have here, and then our final side here. And if you had something in this pocket, you know, something a little bit bigger, you wouldn't see the design under there, or even something small, you're like, oh, what is that? And then you take it out and surprise, you have an image underneath there. So I hope this gives you an idea of something that you can use recycled envelopes for. If you don't have a window envelope, you can just cover this whole side. There's lots of things that you could do. I'm going to do a few more tutorials in the future of things that you can do with a recycled envelope. But I hope that you've enjoyed this, and I'll see you soon. Bye, guys.